So I'm going to attempt to be very brief, but not go too fast, and encompass the two videos that I was going to try and upload that I've decided I would rather concise. So, um, basically the news went into full-on damage control way in advance of the release of a report that contains a lot. And the one video that I chose not to upload because it's like 20 minutes of me trying to figure out how to articulate this is what the media reported on as far as the presidential election, the tally and the outcome. Number one, what the media reported from their previous preliminary draft or whatever that they thought they'd obtained through Freedom of Information Act, the tally did not match the official result of the actual audit. Number two, the actual audit is considered incomplete, probably about 95%. There are devices and logs for those devices that, they've come to an agreement, a settlement agreement with the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. These devices and the logs that they're seeking will be provided information-wise, but the actual audit team is not going to be allowed to physically touch the devices. But they're going to get the info they want. So, basically, what was revealed over the course of about 3 to 4 hours was some follow-up on the preliminary results that have been released, more conclusive findings on some of the anomalies that they discovered, and kind of a holding everything up next to everything else and saying, okay, now can we see that there's kind of a pattern here? Basically, what they found was in every aspect of the audit, there were significant anomalies. Every single aspect and there are parts that haven't even finished. Parts of the audit have not completed. There is a kinematic high-resolution scan of the papers themselves, the analysis of the type of paper used, and whether or not for example, the oval circles and write-ins were printed or actually handwritten, as well as whether the paper stock used for the ballots is the correct one prescribed by law for the specific purpose of preventing bleed-through. The signature analysis, not signature verification has yet to take place. The signature analysis was simply scanning the boxes where the signatures go with a pattern finding software that specifically was looking only for pixel density in the scans of the ballots as the high-res scans provided by the audit. And what they found was there was a significant number of basically unsigned absentee or mail-in ballot envelopes that should not have been allowed to be legally counted that were. And there were a number of places where the stamp was applied directly over a blank box they couldn't have not known. Indicates maybe some rubber stamping of questionable ballots that nevertheless are included in that final count where they're like, oh, see, Biden did win. That count includes everything that has yet to be removed based on an incomplete audit. Once the audit is complete, they could then calculate and extrapolate, see about finding all the ballots that correspond to legitimate registration and finding all the ones that don't, and then eliminating everything that is an invalid ballot and saying, okay, now we're going to count what's left and see what the result is. Because that part has yet to take place. That is the most important point to be gotten out of what happened yesterday in the Arizona State Senate. If there's nothing else to take away from it, it is that. The Biden versus Trump number and the other Senate one that they went particularly close on have not been adjusted for any of the anomalies being removed. So this is just a rebuff of the official count, is all that number is. Saying we have yet to complete the audit, ergo we have yet to adjust any numbers. This is the unadjusted count that we got by hand, quadruple checked. That's all it is, and that's what was reported on. But what they found in all other aspects was cybersecurity issues, computer system upgrades, contradicting the certification of the machines. Therefore, computer system upgrades, patches, antivirus were not were not updated or performed for well over a year. These devices were extremely vulnerable, out of date, obsolete in that respect. And they were definitely connected to the internet. They've got hard proof of that. So that right there is enough to say, okay, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that we're told that this is the safest, most secure, and everything else, and the devices that are used to tabulate the majority of votes cast in this election nationwide are potentially out of date, connected to the internet, and extremely vulnerable? That right there is the only red flag you need. Change must occur. This is not okay. On top of the fact that they refuse to let anyone look at the actual machine function programming and such under intellectual property laws. They're like, no, that's sensitive information we can't reveal. So we don't even know how their counting process goes. Blank signatures, incomplete signatures, scribbles in the place of a signature. We haven't even got to signatures matching. But already between an independent to this audit canvas that took place and comparing the canvas to the audit to the original Maricopa canvas and logic and accuracy tests that were done, which were small samples, they found that Maricopa, at their level at the outset in the event itself during the actual counting process originally, failed to identify a ton of invalid ballots. And those are, as a consequence, mixed in with the current tally that the news is trumpeting about. Cybersecurity issues were serious. Signature issues, they need to do a signature verification to find out how many of those ballots are legit. Every single aspect of verification failed. Every single, the number of points of signature verification goes up to 27, and they got it down as low as 10 points or less on a scan to verify the signatures. Questions about the voter rolls, not just dead voters, there's just a handful of those by comparison, but the other thing is every single aspect had an independent team doing their own calculation, their own sorting, their own pattern finding, their own everything, and every single one of these aspects found a ton of anomalies in large numbers, and each of these sets of anomalies should theoretically correspond to things that the others found too. It'd be like, well, we found 5 things, they found 5 things, are they the same 5 people doing the same 10 things? Or whatever. And it turns out what they've got is they find 5 things and they find 5 things, and like these 2 or maybe 3 are connected, and these ones, these are 2 different things than these 2 different things, and they compare that to the previous thing done by the county in the official capacity. See, we did it, and there will be like 1 or 2 things that match between that and all the rest too, meaning that you've got potentially an exponential number more issues, things having been done and been hidden. Then there's what they do have for the devices. Everybody was told they weren't connected to the internet. They were connected to the internet. Everybody was told they had nothing on them except for the proprietary software by the manufacturer of the device. This turns out not to be true. They use Microsoft SQL servers. You hear them talking about SQL. That's Microsoft server technology being used in these computers. These are PCs. Custom-built PCs, but PCs nonetheless. And PCs are vulnerable. They found that there was no 0-day, which means that there was nothing set to boot that would immediately do something. So unless it had been deleted, there did not appear to be anything of that nature on the machines that they tested. But what they did find was a number of accesses in the logs that were available that indicated people had gone in and deleted things, which is flatly illegal on a federal level. There are state and federal laws being broken all over the place when they got to the failures in chain of custody, the failures to even just pack the ballots correctly. Some of them were just chucked in a box and put, like nothing's matching. There's supposed to be top sheets, there's supposed to be reference numbers, there's supposed to, inserts, all kinds of stuff. None of this was done. It was thrown into a box so quickly that there's no organization. That was half the first part of the audit, was just simply sorting and organizing everything into what it was supposed to be, notating it, tagging it so that when it was put back, it was correctly where it was supposed to be in all the packing. The inexcusable mess left by this county. Like somebody's supposed to have done a good job, and you show up and it's like, bro, what did you do? There's like paint splotches on the wall, shit's broken. Like, yeah, you did the one thing you were supposed to do, but everything else around it is jacked up. Busted windows or something when you were building a table, you know what I mean? Like, dude, what? And so they're being referred to the Attorney General. There are going to be investigations, possibly grand juries and indictments, criminal charges pending, innocent until proven guilty. We will see. We will see how patriotic some of these people in government are. Do they care more about making sure that things are right in the country, or do they care about appearances? Lots of people are resigning from the county board already. More people will. People are going to be fired. They're going to be possibly arrested. Definitely going to be investigations. The state senate in Arizona is going to set moving forward about, there was a large number of recommendations made by the audit team as far as things that need to be legislated, so that this is what the process needs to be to keep these things safe, secure, transparent, auditable. And then they're talking about we need to have a full-time audit committee or something, so an organization at the state level that makes sure that all of these counties are auditing themselves and that things are constantly calibrated, that the system is correct, that it is accurate and it is transparent and it is working accurately. That's what we're supposed to have, right? Like, why wouldn't you want that? But that's the people that were fighting against this. It's like as if they didn't want this. No, it's fine the way it is. Don't. And so the fake news is taking it too, and all that really does is it demonstrates fairly conclusively in my mind that they care more about their agenda than about the truth about whatever, and that the entirety of this is about them maintaining power. Their establishment's ability to maintain control by manufacturing consent through the election process as it stands now. Because obviously, if you're looking at this and it's like, okay, you can't prove that an election was stolen, you can't prove anything else, but you can say, holy Jesus fuck, this election was so dirty, so insecure, so loosely done. Everyone involved, they were like, lots of people that did the operations on the ground were just doing their job and they did a good thing, and it's not, but then the people that were pushing buttons, logging into stuff, hooking things up that weren't supposed to be, there was a covert operation by political operatives on a particular biased side who happened to be also having already infiltrated most of the vote counting. Sort of even Biden said, it doesn't matter who votes, it matters who counts the votes. So that's exactly what is going on here. The people that are doing the vote counting are criminals, and criminality has been proven. So now it's time for charges and trials. That is the basis on which I was going to share a link to a video from someone that I just recently subscribed to, but I'm like, rather than do that, I'm going to just say the same thing. There's a freeze frame on a video, and it shows a piece of the presentation as given that was now released and made public. And the report basically states, from the auditor's perspective, given all of these issues, which are factual anomalies that have been documented, and the obstruction in the legal sense, as well as the obfuscation and destruction of evidence and all kinds of other things. That's the other thing. What it comes to is that even the auditor said, this process is so loose and crappy, there's no way this should have been certified, and we should move to decertify these results regardless of what we think it's like. This election was not clean in this state, and that's why other states are now looking and they're like, okay, well, maybe we should look for this too, because this ain't right. Enough people are getting behind it that I think it's going to happen. It's going to be a real hard-fought battle, and you're going to see the real true colors come out in some of these people, that it's just the ones who are going to, try and maintain that establishment power, try and convince people that the system is fine the way it is and that your vote already counts and that you're racist if you think otherwise. Meanwhile, as I've stated previously, I believe in at least one or two videos that I have managed to get uploaded, fraud in the elections and the votes targets by using the cover of pretending to be low income and or people of color or both. These so-called oppressed minorities, right? It pretends to be them because it posits, it pushes, it propagandizes them anyway to be on that side. So they say, okay, well, the Democrats favor all this stuff. Okay, cool, I'm going to vote Democrat. Great, dude. You seriously think Biden and Harris, Democrats, care about any of those social justice-y issues? No. Those two definitely don't care about racism. Those two benefited from the system being built corrupt and ruined, exploited the way it is. They benefited from that. They have gained power. They're doing really trashy things with the country. They're ruining everything. And the process by which the system was exploited to give them power directly negates the votes of real oppressed minority people of color and such. Because those people may want to vote how they want to vote instead of being told you're not X category unless you vote for this Democrat. That's just stupid. That's bullshit. That's it's backwards if you're paying attention at all. So in Arizona, they're going to work on their process. They are the prototype model for other states that are also in this process. And do not listen to the mainstream news. Do not even listen to local news in those areas. They all have an interest in the mainstream staying in control so that their authority as newscasters keeps their power in place. Inverted totalitarianism is what that is called. And just remember, why would the local yokels do it? Because they have aspirations of nationwide journalistic fame. They want to be on the nightly news on NBC one day. I want to be Tom Brokaw. I want to be Katie Couric. That's what they're thinking. And they're mostly narcissists and psychopaths. So don't listen to them. I'm not saying I'm the only source of truth, and I'm not saying, oh, trust me, listen to me. That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I'm looking for and filtering for truth and trying to bring out topics and mention things. And I'm not saying anything I say is absolute or true, because I do, in fact, get things wrong. And if you show it to me, I will correct myself. But Georgia's got a couple of counties that they're looking at for some serious criminality. Pennsylvania's got a county or two that they're looking at for some serious criminality. There's at least one county in Michigan that has been looked at for some serious criminality. And regardless of what the corrupt, benefiting from this broken establishment, cheated system, people in power right now in those states are doing, there are other people who have also managed to break through by overwhelming numbers. And the people on the ground, the grassroots, are behind it. So then there's even more states than that that are looking into it, that have a little less, places where the evidence got struck down, but they're taking a look anyway, and people are petitioning every single state at this point. All of the country is demanding some kind of look. So Texas voluntarily says our 5 most population dense counties in our state are going to be examined for this kind of shenanigans. We arrested a couple people for ballot harvesting or something at the start, but we don't have any other major whatever, but we're going to look at our 5 biggest metropolises with these most dense counties on the rolls, and we're going to examine them with a fine-tooth comb and a microscope. Cool, good. Every state needs to do that. That's what we need to come to. Every state needs to do that. And we need to hold people accountable, keep their feet to the fire on it, write letters, make phone calls, drop comments, share things that onto politicians' walls or whatever that other people have. If somebody's got a meme or if you write your own comment about whatever, that we need election integrity. We need to voluntarily clean out our own system and make sure that everything is legit before we get caught up in some really bad situation caused by cheating. That's the rationale we need. Right now we're in a bad situation as far as the presidency goes, but at least every single state governor isn't the same way. At least every single elected official on every level of the ballot isn't the same way at this point. But they are trying to get it there. At least strategically, there are people they're trying to get in. So that's why it's important. And like I said, it's not racist to want election integrity, to want to make sure that the system works. And not just that the outcomes are what we want them to be, but that it literally is a fair count, a clean count. And we have to be able to, as citizens, be able to demand and expect and receive some sort of audit or clarification, calibration of the system, regularly, to keep that system working. Because if you don't maintain the system, it will corrode, corrupt, and fall apart. We can't have that. So this ends my condensation of 2 other videos. Everything about the COVID situation, the pandemic, and everything else was effectively done to make it easier to have happen what happened in November. This we already know. The news was behind that as well. Do not listen to the news. Do not trust what they say unless you want to dig into the sources. And if they don't provide sources, or if their sources are an anonymous insider with knowledge, bullshit. That's not real. So it is a good day. It is a beautiful, sunshiny day. I hope everyone enjoys it. I was not seriously expecting there to be an overturn of any sort yesterday. Part of me, of course, was a little hopeful because I'm real tired of the shit that we're dealing with right now. But what I do recognize is that there are plans in play that have already been kind of outlined as legally we have to do this, so this is the steps we're going to follow. Okay, so what step are we on? Keep your eyes on the prize, right? So that's where we are. No, yesterday's report and the results of the audit did not confirm, affirm, or certify in any new way an electoral victory in that state by the presidents. None of that. What they did was, yes, when they recounted all the ballots on hand, that counts pretty close to what we got. We have not adjusted this count for any of the anomalies, issues, and such that we found. To close out, I will put it this way, and I'm not exaggerating. I am being dead serious. This was a thing that I said in one of the other videos that I've chosen to put these into the one. It would be easier to count the laws that Maricopa County did not break than to count the ones that they did, based on the findings so far of this mostly complete audit. And they have yet to complete everything and really get down to the nitty-gritty of adjusting the numbers and saying, okay, now if we were to adjust for all of the things that we found and get rid of everything invalid as they should have on that day, these are the ballots they would have had, this is the count we would have got. And we will find out at that point what it would say. But at this time, no clarification on it has been made. The media is lying about that. But remember, every single person that is pushing it, the reason you can't believe them is because they benefit from this that they're looking into, the shenanigans. They benefit from that. And people that benefit from that are not going to allow you to pull back the curtain or disassemble their apparatus, even if it's unethical or immoral. Because that's pretty much what we're looking at. That is why this is a matter of good and evil. Because the good in the world cannot do anything if the evil control the laws and the minds of all the people in between. Have a good day. Happy Saturday. Yeah.